Hi everyone, my name is Piterpakulski. Today it's time for us to put our direct marketing and advertising expenses inside the timeline. So the essence of the model that I'm showing you is it is generally a rent calculator. So this financial model can help you to figure out how rent payments affect your business idea. So here on the top we have rent parameters. So this is the how many square feet or square meters in your location. What is the price per square meter or square foot? Is there any down payment? What is the grace period for rent payments? When you start operating activity, you can also specify what is the duration of the investment stage. Then we have lots of inputs. They are marked with blue: the investment stage, inputs, customer behavior inputs, types of customer. You can switch them on and off. You can also adjust the average check, the level of direct expenses in average check, the duration of the customer life cycle. You can also adjust. So then you specify how many customers, new customers, do you have per month during from the beginning of the operating activity. Then you also specify the customer behavior from the perspective how often this or that type of customer make his or her purchases. So for example, this type of customer makes 2 purchases per month, and the duration of the life cycle of this type of customer is 4 months. So this type of customer has another behavior, this another, and so on. So then we move to marketing and advertising expenses, which are not directly linked with the amount of customers. It is just a marketing budget, but we also have some marketing and advertising expenses that are directly linked to the amount of new customers that we are going to gain. So for example, here we have different sources of customers. Then we from the beginning of operating activity. So here we have months of operating activity. These are the months counting from 1 to and higher. These are the number of months of operating activity. Here we can see the specific month of when we start operating activity, and then from left to right you allocate the structure of your new customers. So for example, during the first 12 months, you will have 20% of new customers coming from YouTube, 30% from Instagram, and so on and so forth. So the structure of new customer may also change, so you can adjust the percentages here. And then you can also specify the cost of acquisition of one customer from YouTube, Instagram, and so on. Inside the timeline, so you can, if something changes, for example after a year of operating activity, you can also adjust of cost of acquisition for each of customer coming from this or that source. So now we've specified different parameters which influence our marketing and advertising direct expenses, and now it's time for us to put all this story inside the timeline. So the first thing we need to do is to create a line here. We will use this line for a VLOOKUP formula. that we will be creating. This will be the number of column that we will need inside our formula. So we just make some preparations for that. So these are the columns, the number of columns inside this table, inside this data table. And the first table that we will be creating, so we will be placing percentages of new customers inside the timeline. So this will be the first exercise that we will be facing. So this will be multi-step story. So here I will mention the sources of our new customers. And here we will have a percentage format, and we will write a VLOOKUP formula. So what I need, so I will be searching for this value, I will be searching this value. Oh no, not this value. I will be searching, I will go higher. So we have a chronology table, timeline table. So this is the line where we counting the months of operating activity. So we start operating activity in September 2022. Here we get 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we are searching this value, we are freezing the column. Then where do we searching this value? Searching the value inside this table. And if we find it, we will need the column number 5. So I'm putting this value here, freezing the line. Here we will freeze this table completely. So we will search this value inside this table. We will need the second column, and we will need exact match. And if error, we will place here a 0. So I hope we are right. So we are searching this value in this table. So I suppose that we made one mistake. We will need here to correct some, we need to adjust the formula, because we will need to freeze also this, and then now it works. So what are we fighting for? Why we are constructing all this story? So for example, if the structure of customers changes inside the timeline, for example, let's just assume that. For example, don't look here, we will undo it later. So for example, if you want to see if the structure of customers changes, you will be able to see how this will affect the marketing expenses. So you can see how numbers, the percentages are changing here inside the timeline, and you don't have to retype. You won't make mistakes creating a huge amount of scenarios, so you just have to work with inside the input areas, and all calculations will be done automatically. So this is very important when you have to create many scenarios to look how stable your business idea is. So then we are moving to the second. From YouTube, for example, we are describing Instagram. So for Instagram we will need column number 6. Nothing changes inside here. The data table is the same. Then we are doing the same for the source number 3. Source number 3. Then 4. And finally 5. Now we will extrapolate this formula to the right. So now we have the dynamic structure of our customers coming from different sources. So for example, in January 2023 we will have we have 5 sources of customers. For example, 2020. So for example, if in December in January 2030 the structure of new customers will change, so we will just change it inside the inputs. Then we will extrapolate this data further, and now we can go to the timeline and see that in January 2020 the structure of cost will change. Here you can see that. And now this is the next step. We are copying this table. And now we have to create the data table for cost of acquisition. So this table will describe in timeline how the cost of acquisition changes. Here this table is. So here on the left we specify, we put all our sources, then we go to our formula created for the previous for new customer, the percentages of new customers allocation, and we will we will need we'll take this value as it is. The data table we will enlarge a little bit here, and the number of column that we need will become 16. All other parameters, this parameter stays the same. Column, the table we've adjusted, the number of column we also adjusted. So so this will be just a number format. So number, okay. So then we are moving to Instagram, the cost of acquisition of one customer from Instagram. We are taking the column number 17. Then we need column 18. Then 19 column we will pick. And finally, for customer type number 5, we will pick the column number 20. Then we press enter, and then we are extrapolating this formula to the right. So here we can see the cost of acquisition, the dynamic of cost of acquisition of one customer coming from different sources. So for example, as you can see, so for example from January 2025, we can see that, for example, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So for example, from this moment the cost of acquisition will increase or decrease, so we can create different scenarios to look at. So we are moving back to the timeline. So this is January 2025, if I'm not mistaken. So we are going here in timeline to January 2025, and here you can see how the cost of acquisition changes. So this is very useful for scenario modeling. So next step, we are creating the table for amount of customers, by source, so we have a wonderful table where we have the amount of new customers, and we take this value, freeze the line, and multiply on the percentage of allocation between the sources, so this one. Then we press enter, so now we know the structure of our new customers, and the next step will be calculation of costs of acquisition of these customers. So we are copying this table. We will call it direct expenses on marketing and ads, advertising. So what I will do, I will multiply the cost of acquisition for one customer and multiply it on the amount of new customers coming to our project in this particular month. So cost of customer, cost of acquisition, then multiplied on the amount of new customers. Then we extrapolate this formula to the bottom and to the right. So now we've calculated the cost of acquisition of different for different sources of our advertising campaign. So now we know how much money we are going to spend on YouTube, Instagram, and other marketing sources. I will color it with red because these are the expenses. They will later go to the direct expenses inside the cash flow statement. So, and we are moving forward. Maybe this video was useful for you. You may give us a like, subscribe, share this video with your friends. You can also order financial models from scratch for your unique business ideas. We can help you with that. So see you guys in next videos. Thank you and bye.